Welcome to the NBA Coast to Coast podcast brought to you by thelines.com. Coming to you from the West Coast, Josh Lander, joined by Nate Weitzer on the East Coast. And we are looking at a first NBA slate of 2024. Happy New Year to everybody. We're going to be doing best bets in this video. We also have play up props up in a separate one, so go ahead and subscribe to that page. Continue to follow along each and every weekday with us. Also want you to head to thelines.com and use everything we have up on the site right now, as well as that odds finder tool, including that odds finder tool, I should say, that is very helpful and handy with a nice little chart in front of you guys to see which books are giving you the best odds and juice for all these bets you might want to make this NBA season. Nate, let's go ahead and get right into your first NBA best bet of 2024.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you don't want to tell them how we closed 2023 up plus units. Finally got a big win there the last Friday. I guess it's been a long break, but nice 7-2 night there. 4-1 on the best bets on Friday. So, yeah, back from the break here. Looking at the Grizzlies to take care of business against the Spurs. There's a lot of ways to play this, and I'm not sure which is the best here. Grizz right now up to -11. Grizz team total 124. Thought about both of them, but I think the safest way here is just Ja and Bane going to both get 20, and the Grizzlies are going to win, and that gets you to about even money. Because those two guys, I mean, even with Ja back, have been sharing, what we see as like the lion's share usage, what we see with like Giannis, Dame, Book, Kevin Durant. It's just an offense that completely flows through two guys who are getting, 70% of the usage almost when they're both out there. Bane's first four with Ja averaged 29 a game with 31% usage. And Ja had 30 plus in 3 of those 4. He had that weird game with only 20 against Indy, but that's all we need here. If this is a blowout, I think he can get his 20 in quick fashion here. Certainly can be a blowout. The Spurs are literally not trying. They in their last 8, they have the worst defensive rating in the league. They're giving up 130. Giving up everything you'd need if you're Memphis to score the basketball, including a ton of second chance points in the paint. And they just sat out Zach Collins for their first time all season, who is, the one like stabilizing defensive force, right? And so on cue, give up 134 to Boston without Zach here, who's ruled out again. Their last 5 against the Grizz have all gone over. The Grizzlies are averaging 125. The thing is, they're 5-0 straight up and 1-4 against the spread. So even though the Spurs have been, tanking for years, they've found a way to compete in this matchup, this divisional matchup. But the Grizzlies have been scoring a ton, and Ja in his last 5 against the Spurs, 38.5 points per game, ridiculous shooting splits. So I mean, he's going to get his. Without, their last time they faced these Spurs, Grizz got 120 with Gilliard, Conchar, Biyombo starting. Their offensive lineup is now obviously much better. Marcus Smart in there as well. I just think they're going to be scoring all over the place and really bounce back from this sleepy spot they had against Sac on New Year's Eve, following the back-to-back one without Ja, who knows if he was still sick. Now they get a little extra rest. They come out fresh in the new year, and they're going to perform offensively. So I'll just trust it to go through those two guys.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm not scared of the 10 points, 10.5 either. Like you were saying, you're kind of going back and forth with how you would play this game. And there's no reason that San Antonio should be in this game at all. So really the only worry about the 2020, obviously, is the idea that this game is over in the third quarter. I don't know. The Spurs are just a blemish on the league, in my opinion, this year and even kind of last year. And so I don't know quite what to do with them other than, like you said, fade them. And the double digits, once we keep it to 10 points for them, if it's not the 15 or 16 that we've seen as a spread for their opponent, I'm kind of good with it. I'm kind of good at that 10.5. So either way you want to play it, I'm happy to fade the Spurs, like you said. So let me go to a game that should be interesting, and is the Warriors and the Magic. And to be honest, they usually are interesting when they play each other, because it used to be totally opposing styles. But I just think right now I'm going to take the Magic. I was looking at an under in this game, 231 or so, because it seemed high when these two teams play. But I don't know what to do with the recent stats without Draymond. They're playing a lot faster as Golden State, or at least, they are. They're getting out into transition a bit more, and at least picking up the pace on these possessions. So, but I still just like the Magic to be able to handle this, because the Magic are healthy sans Markelle Fultz, which is like, look, let's just that they're healthy, because Markelle Fultz really doesn't play, man. He just hasn't played very much this season, and obviously last season. So I'm not really worried about the with or without Markelle Fultz stuff. We've seen Jalen Suggs really step in and be an incredible perimeter defender this year, which is a huge reason that I feel good about them against this Warriors team, which Steph might still go off on the points. That's one area that he can definitely keep this game like single-handedly paced up and like high scoring. So I'm not really, like I said, willing to fade his points or willing to fade points in this game. But when you've got Orlando on the road, they're a bit worse. They're going to play a bit choppier and slower. And I don't think that the young Warriors team and lineups that they're putting out there are necessarily going to be in the mold of being able to play slower and choppier and still have this game go well. I think they need it to be a lot smoother. That's why you've seen 122 points per game at home since Draymond went down versus the roughly 115, 114 that they were scoring prior to that. Like, everything's just a little bit worse. And they're able to guard down low a little bit worse, and that's what we're going to see from Orlando. Is we're going to see Franz and we're going to see Paolo, both of them shooting more than 30% of their shots inside of 10 feet, because they're just looking to crash. They're looking to drive. They consistently have the most highest frequency of drives in the plays as well. Like, they're all cutting and making plays towards the basket, and that's where the Dubs have been much more vulnerable. Obviously, since Draymond went down, they went from being able to defend the paint to not being able to do that anymore. And the second chance points have been still very important for them, especially without Draymond. When you get Kuminga in there and Wiggins a few more minutes, now Gary Payton II is back. Even Podziemski has been a very good offensive rebounder for them. Not to mention Loondog, when he's in there, is an incredible offensive rebounder. So they have relied heavily off second chance points. Orlando's a top 5 team at limiting second chance points. The Dubs have also gone down a bit in their ability to get those points since Draymond went down as well, because even though he's not necessarily getting the offensive boards, he's obviously boxing out a lot of guys on offense when they're trying to crash those boards. So without the second chance points, without a free-flowing sort of like smooth assist-heavy style of offense that the Warriors would want to play to be able to hang in this game, I don't see them as 3-point favorites against this Magic team.
Yeah, and didn't you initially have the under as your lean too?
That was one of my leans too. Yeah. Like I said, I was scared of Steph being able to just drop 7 threes on him because he's scoring off the dribble, and scoring point guards can get theirs against the Magic. So it was him specifically that I was like, I don't want to keep him, and plus the free throws that I do think the Magic are going to get. I do see this game potentially around 230, 232. So it really wasn't worth the value for me to the under anymore.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, Steph has been rough for the last few games here. You do expect to bounce back at some point, but maybe the Magic is not the team. I mean, they have that perimeter defender, like you said, and the Warriors are still clearly experimenting with lineups. Like, the offense has been disjointed a lot. Magic have gone under 5 of their last 6, only over against Washington. Like, I see a correlation here where you could take the plus 3.5 with the under, and then you juice it up to like plus 260. Which is nice here, because I don't know if the Magic are comfortable in a 130 game, the way we see the Warriors sometimes play against Western Conference teams. So they're gonna want it lower scoring.
I feel that.
Yeah. So Boston at OKC, game of the night here for sure.
Preview the finals, maybe.
Oh man, I love that. I love that bullishness, because I am an SGA MVP pulpit guy, and that's why my first lean here, SGA top scorer in the game, minus 150. If you want something with better juice, I was like, well, let me just bet him to get his numbers here. 34-4 is plus money. So I mean, I have a hard time seeing him not get to those numbers. In fact, he has gotten the 4-4 in every single home game this season, 17 straight and 11 straight overall. Averages 6 and 6.5 at home in terms of the peripheral stats. Now, is he going to score 30 against Boston? I mean, damn right. He's playing a contender. He is the best perimeter offensive player in the league right now. He's number 2 in PER, offensive win shares, value over replacement, trailing Jokic or Embiid in each of those. But I mean, he is unstoppable. Even though you're throwing Drew Holiday and Derek White at him, I mean, he just rises to the occasion. Like, we just saw him blow up against Minnie, blow up against the Knicks, the Lakers, whatever solid defense you want to throw at him. He's averaged 36 points per game on 64% shooting in those last 4. He was chilling in his last game against the Nets. Like, the Nets are kind of backsliding into becoming a joke here at this point. And it was New Year's Eve, and so that's kind of the theme of this year. Of this show is just like, all right, New Year's Eve, people didn't necessarily go that hard. So a little bit of extra rest almost as SGA comes out, and you just know he's going to bring it against this team. And the Celtics have so much balance that I'm not really worried about anyone being a top scorer over him. That's why minus 150 is even still a little lower than I would expect it to be. Like it really could be minus 200. Tatum has the shortest odds behind him, but like Tatum in his last 4 road games, 24 points per game, extremely efficient, but not a high usage rate. Jalen, 24 points per game, same thing. Derek White and Drew, around 20 points per game with ridiculous efficiency, like 150 plus offensive rating as the Celtics go on this hot streak. And then Porzingis gets matched up on Chet. He's probably not going to go off. I mean, he could hit a few threes, but like the Celtics go 5 deep in terms of scorers, and the Thunder might have one guy who's getting his shot here. You know, Jalen Williams, Giddy, it comes in and out, but it's going to be on SGA, and he's going to bring it.
It's I mean, yes to everything. I'm sorry, but once you started talking about Chet versus Porzingis, I just kind of started daydreaming about it and was like, that sounds awesome. I can't wait to watch that with Chet having somebody that can, I guess, come out to the 3-point line and kind of hang with him out there. I was considering under 8.5 boards for Jason Tatum in this one because of the fact that, like, well, one, he just hasn't really done it. When Porzingis is back in there, there's more rebounders, obviously. Honestly, he has more rebounds on the season with the games that KP is in there. But the point is like, I think there's going to be a lot of scoring, like up and down scoring. I don't think that these teams will necessarily be able to stop each other too well. But then once I start looking at the boards for Tatum and even Brown, I'm like, actually, I think I like over better, because if Chet and KP are just 2 7'2" dudes roaming the court all over, like there's no place on the floor those dudes can't really play. So it's really just going to be a bit more of like positionless basketball than I think we're even used to. It's going to be fun as hell. I like your angle for this game because I really don't want to pick a winner, although it does seem wrong to put the Thunder as dogs at home to anybody, to be honest, right? Like we were talking about it tongue in cheek at one point, not even, because I have 100-1 ticket for the Thunder to win the championship, just because I was like, screw it, let's go. I took 50-1 for them to come out of the West, because like they're the real deal, man, and you're not gonna have to convince me that Shai's the MVP. So steps off soapbox, move on to last pick here. Chicago and Philly. We both like Chicago. We're scared of Embiid, as you should be. Everybody that plays basketball in the whole world, if you're not on Joel Embiid's team, you should be afraid of him. But this team plays really well. And the last time that the Bulls lost to the 76ers, which is only once out of their last 4 meetings, Joel wasn't playing. I'm not saying that the 76ers are better without Joel Embiid by any means or stretch of the imagination. And I believe James Harden was also playing in that game. So you had a lot more just stability on offense with your point guard and then Maxey around and Tobias with him. But point being, 10.5 is too much, man. And this one, even with JoJo back in the game in this series, like there's still a number of reasons to like the Bulls. And it's just really, this is like a Bulls love fest in a way, because they match up well. And we do both like the fact that Drummond is in there as a better defender for Embiid than Nikola Vucevic on every single plane of reality that you could try to find that, right? Like it's going to be Drummond actually able to get a few more. We'll give Vooch his credit. Like he gets minutes and he plays and he gets boards against Embiid because he is playing a bit more down low, more boards than he normally does. But that's not what you want when you have him down there. You want Drummond against him. So when you look at what the Bulls have done since Levine went down, like we were talking about it roughly 5 games ago, and not much has changed even without Vooch in the lineup over the last like 4 or 5, roughly 3 or 4 games. It's still been a team that's in the top 5 in defensive rating since Levine went down. They're still in the top 12 in terms of assist percentage. It's all the things that we saw from the jump. Kobe White came in and made a really big impact and has slowly just sort of receded from sort of like taking over to just being a really solid part of this offense and continuing the ball movement that we've seen from them. I also like the rebound percentage, which actually is pretty much the same with Drummond in there and with Vooch in there. It's just that nobody else is getting the rebounds besides Drummond because he's just pushing his own teammates out of the way and getting the board after he boxes out. So that's why he's getting more rebounds, but the team is still getting the same amount. Are they going to be able to stop Maxey? I think so. We just did it with Caruso. Like he's going to have to be really inefficient once again to get his points. I love fading Maxey without Embiid because people think, oh, Embiid's out, Maxey more points. And it's like, no, Embiid is the sun around which this whole thing revolves. So when he's out, Maxey's got a lot more pressure on him, a lot less open threes. So he's going to have a few more open threes today, but the assists won't be quite the same. I think he had 7 or 8 against the Bulls last time because it was like the driving lanes weren't there. They're going to be there a little bit more for him. him, right? And he will have the opportunity to assist to Embiid. Embiid's going to have the opportunity to assist to people. But the main point is this thing's going to be choppier. The Bulls are going to do everything they can to keep it from getting too out of hand because they can't really run with Maxey and company nearly as well. And I just think that they'll be able to at least keep this under 11 points. That's way too high for a team that's played super well against this team in the last 5 games they played.
Yeah, you can't tell me that Nikola Vucevic is a better defender than Andre Drummond, straight up. And like, yeah, you're saying how hard he's going for rebounds. He's like an irrational confidence guy to a degree. Is saying like he's the best backup center in the league. I mean, he's gonna make a case for it at least when he gets to start here these 7 to 10 days with Vooch out. There's the old practice narrative that he's played a lot against Embiid when he was with the Sixers.
Yeah,
he's at least a big body to throw at him. And Caruso, like you mentioned, yeah, I mean, he chased Maxey all over. Hell, Maxey got 29 points, but he had 23 shots to get there. These last 2 meetings have gone way under. The only thing that scares me is like the revenge narrative that the Sixers have lost so many to this team and that they want to come out and stick it to them. But look, the Bulls have covered 13 of 16 since they started this hot streak, since Levine took a seat. They are not a team you want to fade. Like, if you're going to give me all these extra points, like this line really should be like 6, right?
Yeah.
I think you can take it and just say, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But like, this is the effective play.
Yeah, if we're wrong, it's because we underestimate, like you said, the rah-rah, woo-woo sort of nature of the 76ers coming out and being like, we got Embiid back, let's make a run at this thing. It's like, it's been out for like 4 games. It's not that big a deal. I don't see it that way. If that's why we lose and we misjudged the humane nature of it, then fine. But the numbers, like we like to say sometimes, definitely indicate that this should not be above 10 points as a spread against the Bulls. So we'll ride with it. See you guys on tomorrow's Best Bets. That's all the time we have for you today. Continue to follow along and check out the play of props that we also have up for you today and each and every day. And until we see you next, happy betting.